The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched upward for what seemed like miles, its crystal walls glowing with soft blue light. James Stone adjusted his dark blue diplomatic uniform and stood straight, his gray hair neatly combed, and his weathered face showing no fear. As Earth's ambassador to the Council, he had faced many challenges before, but today was different. The Council members looked down at him from their high seats. There were beings of all shapes and sizes, some made of pure energy, others with multiple limbs, and some that looked almost like clouds of gas. But all of them shared one thing. They were afraid of humanity's growing power. Ambassador Stone. The Supreme Speaker's voice boomed through the chamber. The speaker was a tall being made of swirling energy contained in a special suit. You stand here today to answer for the Terran Empire's continued expansion across the galaxy. Stone remained calm, his hands clasped behind his back. He could feel the tension in the room, thick enough to cut with a knife. The past 5 years had seen humanity spread to over 200 star systems, building colonies and space stations at a speed that made the other races nervous. The Council has watched your people's actions with growing concern, the speaker continued. Your military ships grow more powerful each year. Your technology advances at an alarming rate. Your population spreads like a wildfire across the stars. A member from the Trade Federation, a short, round alien with blue skin, stood up. Just last month, humans revealed new shield technology that makes their ships almost impossible to damage. This goes against all fair trade agreements. Stone waited patiently as more council members stood up to speak. One complained about human mining operations. Another worried about Earth's growing influence over younger races. A third demanded that humans share all their technology with the Council. Finally, the Supreme Speaker raised a glowing hand for silence. The chamber grew quiet. Ambassador Stone, the Council has reached a decision. The Terran Empire must submit to our authority immediately. Stone raised an eyebrow. Submit. Yes, the speaker's voice grew harder. Your expansion must stop. Your military must be reduced by 60%. All new technology must be approved by the Council before use. And you will place Council observers on all your major worlds. A small smile appeared on Stone's face. He had expected this, but hearing it still amused him. The mighty Galactic Council, which had ruled the stars for 10,000 years, was trying to put humanity in a corner. And if we refuse? Stone asked quietly. The Supreme Speaker's energy form flickered with what might have been anger. Then you will face immediate sanctions. All trade with Council worlds will stop. Your ships will be banned from Council space. And if necessary, military action will be taken. Stone's smile grew wider. He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many Council members as he could. Members of the Council, I have lived among you for 5 years now. I have learned your ways, studied your histories, and come to understand your fears. But there is something about humans that you have failed to understand. He paused, letting his words sink in. The chamber was completely silent now, every being waiting to hear what he would say next. Humans don't respond well to threats. Stone's voice carried clearly through the vast space. We never have. From our earliest days on Earth, whenever someone tried to force us to submit, we pushed back. When they pushed harder, we fought harder. It's in our nature. Stone took a step forward, his boots clicking on the crystal floor. So I will take your message back to Earth. But I advise you to reconsider your approach. The Terran Empire extends friendship to all races, but we will not be bullied. We will not be controlled, and we certainly will not submit. With those words, Stone turned and walked toward the chamber's exit, leaving the Council in stunned silence. As he reached the massive doors, he stopped and looked back one last time. Oh, and one more thing, he said calmly. You might want to check your long-range sensors. You'll find them quite interesting. 24 hours after Ambassador Stone left the Council chamber, the galaxy witnessed humanity's response. Admiral Mark Wilson stood on the bridge of the TES Invincible, Earth's largest battleship. His black uniform bore the gold stripes of High Command, and his sharp blue eyes watched the main screen carefully. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Captain Lisa Reed, his second in command. She held a data pad showing the status of Earth's entire fleet. "Every vessel is in position and awaiting your command." Wilson nodded slowly. The plan they had prepared for years was finally being put into action. Across the galaxy, over 5,000 human ships waited near major council worlds. Not as a threat, but as a demonstration. "Send the signal," Wilson ordered. "Operation Northern Lights begins now." Captain Reed pressed a series of buttons on her console. The command traveled instantly through quantum channels to every human ship in the galaxy. What happened next would be remembered for centuries to come. On the Invincible's bridge, Wilson watched as his ship's quantum shields activated. Unlike normal shields that glowed blue or green, these shields created waves of beautiful colors, reds, purples, and golds dancing like Earth's aurora borealis. But this was more than just a light show. Across the galaxy, on every council world, people stopped and looked up at the sky. Thousands of human ships, hidden until now by stealth technology, revealed themselves. Their quantum shields painted the skies of 1,000 worlds with dancing lights. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. In the council chamber, the Supreme Speaker called an emergency meeting. The massive screens showed the same scene playing out everywhere. Human ships appearing from nowhere, their advanced shields creating a display of power that couldn't be ignored. "Impossible," shouted one council member. "Their ships were cloaked this entire time, right above our capitals." Another member, his tentacles waving in agitation, spoke up. "These shields, they're beyond anything we've seen. Our sensors can't even understand how they work." The Supreme Speaker remained silent, watching the screens. The human ships weren't firing weapons or making threats. They were simply there, showing what they could do, what they had hidden all along. Back on the Invincible, Admiral Wilson received a message from Earth Command. He smiled as he read it, then turned to Captain Reed. "Send the following message to all council worlds. Text only, universal broadcast." Reed nodded and prepared to transmit. Wilson cleared his throat and spoke. "To the Galactic Council and all its member worlds. The Terran Empire has received your threats. We have chosen to respond not with words, but with a small demonstration of what we can do. The ships you see above your worlds have been there for months, watching and protecting. We could have struck at any time. We did not, because that is not our way. Our quantum shields, which you now witness, are just one of many technologies we have developed. We kept them secret not out of malice, but out of prudence. History has taught us that powerful technologies must be handled with care. We ask you to consider this carefully. If this is what we show you willingly, imagine what else we might have kept hidden. The Terran Empire does not want war. We do not seek to rule over others, but we will not be threatened, and we will not submit to demands. You have one standard day to reconsider your position. We await your response." As the message was broadcast, Wilson walked to the bridge's large window. The quantum shields created beautiful patterns in space around his ship. He thought about how long humanity had prepared for this moment, developing technologies in secret, building up strength while appearing weaker than they were. "Captain Reed," he said quietly, "send a private message to all our ships. Tell them to maintain position, but do not, under any circumstances, power up weapons. We're here to make a point, not start a war." Reed nodded and sent the order. Around her, the bridge crew worked calmly at their stations, monitoring the reactions from council worlds. Some showed panic, others anger, and a very few, showed understanding. The next 24 hours would change the galaxy forever, and humanity was ready for whatever came next. 3 days after humanity's display of power, the council made its gravest mistake. In a secret meeting chambered deep beneath their crystal towers, a group of council military leaders decided to teach humans a lesson. They chose a small human colony on the edge of known space. New Hope, population 50,000. General Tom Harris stood in the colony's Defense Command Center, watching the morning sun rise over the settlement's protective dome. At 60 years old, with graying hair and a scared face from old battles, he had seen enough combat to know when something was wrong. The quantum sensors that humans had hidden from the Council were picking up strange readings. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Peter Brown from his monitoring station. "Multiple ships entering the system. Council signatures. I count 300 warships." Harris didn't look surprised. He picked up his coffee cup and took a slow sip. "Right on schedule. Begin Operation Ghost Town." Throughout the colony, hidden speakers came to life. A calm computer voice spoke. "Attention all citizens. This is not a drill. Please proceed to your designated quantum shelters immediately." The citizens of New Hope had practiced this many times. Within 15 minutes, the entire colony was empty. Every man, woman, and child had entered the underground quantum shelters, which could safely transport them to Earth if necessary. In space, the Council fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect attack formation. Admiral Rix, the fleet commander, stood proudly on his flagship's bridge. His forearms crossed over his chest as he prepared to give the order that would show humans their place. "All ships, prepare tow." He stopped mid-sentence, his yellow eyes widening. In front of his fleet, appearing out of nowhere, were 1,000 Terran warships. They formed a massive wall in space, their quantum shields creating waves of colorful light. Behind them, the small colony stood untouched. "Impossible," Rix whispered. His sensors showed no signs of hyperspace jumps. The human ships had simply been there, invisible until now. A message flashed across every screen in the Council fleet. It was from General Harris. "Council fleet, this is General Tom Harris of the Terran Defense Force. We knew you were coming. We've known for weeks. The colony is empty. Every citizen is safe. You came here expecting to find an easy target. Instead, you found us waiting. Look at your tactical displays. Really look at them. Notice how our ships are positioned. If we wanted to, we could destroy your entire fleet before you could fire a single shot, but that's not why we're here. We're here to teach you something about humans. We plan ahead. We prepare. We don't show all our cards until we have to. The ships you see before you, they're just the ones we're letting you see. You have two choices: turn around and go home, or fire the first shot. Choose carefully. Your next action will determine how the galaxy remembers this day." On his flagship, Admiral Rix felt sweat drip down his scaled neck. His sensors were showing things that shouldn't be possible. The human ships were using energy patterns his systems couldn't even analyze. Their shields operated on principles that defied known physics. "Admiral," his second-in-command said nervously, "what are your orders?" Rix looked at the magnificent display of human ships before him. In all his years of service, he had never seen such a perfect defensive formation. And if his sensors were right, these ships were far more advanced than anything the Council possessed. "Signal the fleet," he said quietly. "We're leaving." One by one, the Council ships turned around. As they prepared to jump to hyperspace, General Harris sent one final message. "Wise choice. Admiral, remember this day. Remember what you saw. And most importantly, remember that we let you leave. The next time the Council thinks about threatening humanity, think about what happened here. Think about how we knew you were coming. Think about how we were ready. Safe journey home." Back in the colony's command center, Harris watched the Council fleet retreat. Lieutenant Brown looked up from his station. "Sir, should we tell them about the other 5,000 ships we have cloaked in the system?" Harris smiled and finished his coffee. "No, son. Some secrets are best kept for another day." The Galactic Council chamber was unusually quiet 1 week after the failed attack on New Hope Colony. Ambassador Stone walked to the center of the room, but this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood Professor Robert Miller, Earth's leading scientist, carrying a simple black briefcase. Distinguished members of the council, Stone began, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. Today we will show you why threats against humanity are pointless. Professor Miller, if you would. Miller stepped forward, placing his briefcase on the floating platform before them. He was an older man with kind eyes and white hair, wearing a simple white lab coat. The briefcase clicked open, revealing what looked like an ordinary glass ball. This, Miller said, holding up the sphere, is a quantum computer, but not like anything you've seen before. He pressed his thumb against it, and suddenly the entire chamber filled with stunning holographic displays. The Supreme Speaker leaned forward in his energy containment suit. What are we seeing? Miller smiled gently. Everything. Every ship movement in the galaxy. Every energy signature. Every communication. We see it all, in real time, through quantum observation technology. Gasps echoed through the chamber. One council member stood up, pointing an accusing finger. That's impossible. No one can track the entire galaxy at once. Impossible. Miller raised an eyebrow. Let me show you something else. He touched the sphere again, and new images appeared. This is a zero-point energy generator, small enough to fit in your pocket, yet powerful enough to run an entire city. We've had this technology for 20 years. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Zero-point energy was supposed to be theoretical. Some members shouted in disbelief, others in anger. The Supreme Speaker had to release a burst of energy to restore order. Stone took a step forward. There's more. Professor? Miller nodded and changed the display again. Consciousness transfer technology. We can back up human minds, transfer them to new bodies if needed. Perfect healing technology that can cure any disease or injury. Teleportation systems that don't need receiving stations. Artificial gravity control that can create or negate gravity fields at will. He paused, letting each revelation sink in. And these are just the technologies we're willing to show you. The ones we've decided are safe to reveal. A council member with crystalline skin spoke up, its voice trembling. Why? Why hide all this? Why not share it with the galaxy? Stone answered this time. Because humanity learned some hard lessons on Earth. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times with technology we weren't ready for. When we reached the stars, we made a decision. We would advance carefully, control our progress, share what was safe, keep what wasn't. Professor Miller closed his briefcase, the holograms fading away. Every technology I showed you today has been tested for at least 50 years on Earth. We know they're safe. We know their limits. We know how to prevent their misuse. Stone walked in a small circle, making eye contact with council members. The Terran Empire isn't expanding aggressively because we want to conquer. We're expanding because we're following a careful, planned pattern of development. Each colony is a test site for new technology. Each space station is a research center. We're not building an empire of war. We're building an empire of knowledge. The Supreme Speaker's energy form flickered with what might have been understanding. And the military ships, the weapons, protection, Stone said simply, because we knew that one day someone would see our expansion as a threat, would try to stop us, would try to force us to submit. He smiled slightly. Like you did. Professor Miller stepped forward again. We're willing to share some of these technologies now, but it must be done carefully. Safely, with proper controls and understanding. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help it grow. But it must be done right. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, the Supreme Speaker spoke. Perhaps we have much to learn from humanity. Stone nodded. Yes, you do. But first, there's something else you need to know. Something far more important. His face grew serious. Professor, show them the last file. Miller touched the sphere one final time. Above them, a new hologram appeared, and every member of the council felt their blood run cold at what they saw. The hologram floating in the council chamber showed a massive dark cloud moving between galaxies. It wasn't just any cloud. It was alive, made up of billions of creature machines that devoured everything in their path. The Void Swarm. Professor Miller adjusted his glasses and spoke quietly. We discovered them 20 years ago, using our quantum observation technology. They've destroyed 12 galaxies in the last million years. And now, they're heading straight for us. The council chamber erupted in panic. The Supreme Speaker's energy form pulsed rapidly. How? How long? 5 years, Stone answered grimly. That's why we've been expanding so quickly. Why we've been building so many ships. Why we've been developing technology at such a rapid pace. We're not preparing for war with the Council. We're preparing for something far worse. On the main display, Miller showed detailed scans of the Void Swarm. Each creature was the size of a small moon, covered in organic technology that could tear apart stars. They moved as one massive force, consuming everything in their path. Planets, stars, even black holes. Our quantum computers calculated their pattern, Miller explained. They visit each galaxy every 50,000 years. The last time they came, they wiped out the civilization that built these very council chambers. Only a few survivors managed to hide and rebuild. A council member with tentacles raised 3 of them in question. But our records don't show any of this. Because they were erased, Stone said. Not by time, but deliberately. The survivors were so traumatized that they chose to forget. They buried the truth so deep that it was lost, until we found it. Miller changed the display again, showing ancient ruins on various worlds. We found the evidence everywhere once we knew where to look. Dead worlds stripped of all resources, ancient weapons that failed to stop them. And warnings, so many warnings, carved into the very bones of dead planets. The Supreme Speaker floated down from their high seat, approaching Stone and Miller. If what you say is true, why didn't you tell us sooner? Stone's face showed a mix of sadness and determination. Would you have believed us? You couldn't even accept our rapid expansion without feeling threatened. How would you have reacted if we told you about galaxy-consuming monsters? Everything we've done, Miller added, has been preparation. The quantum shields, they're designed to resist the Void Swarm's energy-draining attacks. Our new colonies, they're not just settlements. They're evacuation points with hidden bunkers that can shelter billions. Those ships we showed you, they're just the first wave of our defense fleet. Stone walked to the center of the chamber, his voice growing stronger. We didn't want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to save it. Every technology we developed, every ship we built, every colony we established, it was all part of a plan to fight the Void Swarm. The hologram zoomed out, showing the Void Swarm's massive scale. It was larger than anything the Council had ever seen. Some members sank into their seats, overwhelmed by the truth. But here's the thing, Stone continued. Humanity can't win this fight alone. Even with all our technology, all our preparations, we need help. We need the combined strength of every race in the galaxy. That's why we're showing you this now. Miller stepped forward, his kind face serious. We have the technology. We have the plans. We have the weapons. But we need your people, your resources, your courage. The Void Swarm isn't just humanity's problem. It's everyone's problem. The Supreme Speaker was silent for a long moment, their energy form swirling with complex patterns. Finally, they spoke. How? How do we fight such a thing? Stone smiled for the first time since the presentation began. That's the real reason we're here today, Professor. Miller reached into his briefcase and pulled out another device. This is why we really came. This is humanity's real secret, our plan to fight the Void Swarm. And if we work together, if we trust each other, we might just have a chance to save everything. The entire council leaned forward as Miller activated the device, ready to learn humanity's greatest secret. The device in Professor Miller's hand projected a new hologram, showing a massive ring structure floating in space. It was unlike anything the Council had ever seen, a perfect circle large enough to encircle a star. "We call it the Guardian Ring," Miller explained, rotating the hologram slowly. "It's taken us 15 years to design, and we've already built the first 3 sections in secret." Admiral Wilson stepped forward from the shadows where he had been watching. He was still wearing his formal black uniform, now standing beside Stone and Miller. "The ring isn't just a weapon, it's a shield for the entire galaxy." The hologram zoomed in to show the ring's inner workings. Quantum energy flowed through massive channels, powered by thousands of zero-point reactors. The technology was so advanced that most Council members couldn't even understand what they were seeing. "The Void Swarm travels through space using quantum tunnels," Miller continued. "They're like wormholes, but more complex. The Guardian Ring will create a quantum barrier around our galaxy. When the swarm tries to enter, they'll hit the barrier." One Council member, a being made of pure light, spoke up. "But surely they'll just break through." Wilson smiled. "That's exactly what we want them to do, Professor." Miller adjusted the hologram, showing the ring's defense systems. "When they hit the barrier, it will split the swarm into smaller groups. Instead of facing trillions of them at once, we can fight them in smaller numbers." But that's not even the best part. The display changed again, showing strange energy patterns. "The ring doesn't just defend, it attacks. When the swarm hits the barrier, it will reverse their quantum tunneling technology. Simply put, it will turn their own travel method into a weapon against them." Stone stepped forward, his voice firm. "But we can't build enough rings alone. We need help. The Terran Empire has the designs, the technology, and the knowledge. What we need from the Council is resources and workers. Every race must contribute." The Supreme Speaker's energy form brightened. "The cost, the resources needed, will be nothing compared to the cost of doing nothing." Wilson interrupted. "We've run the numbers. If we don't stop the Void Swarm, there won't be a galaxy left to save." Miller brought up another display, showing construction sites hidden in deep space. "We've already started. These are our secret shipyards, building parts for the ring. But we're working at only 10% of what we need. With the Council's help, we could finish in time." The chamber was quiet as the Council members studied the plans. The technology was incredible, combining quantum mechanics, zero-point energy, and principles of physics that most races hadn't even discovered yet. A Council member with crystalline skin spoke up. "But how do we know this will work? How can we be sure?" Miller smiled gently. "Because we've already tested it on a smaller scale, Admiral." Wilson pressed a button on his uniform. The hologram changed to show a recording. A small version of the Guardian Ring, no bigger than a planet, faced off against a test group of Void Swarm creatures that humanity had captured and contained. The Council watched in amazement as the ring activated. The creatures, each one capable of destroying the moon, were caught in the quantum barrier. Their own travel technology turned against them, tearing them apart at a fundamental level. "This test was conducted last month," Wilson explained. "The ring works. Now we just need to build it bigger, much bigger." Stone looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each Council member. "We don't have time for politics anymore. We don't have time for threats or power plays. We have 5 years to save everything we know and love. Humanity has shown you our greatest technologies, our deepest secrets. Now we're asking for your help." The Supreme Speaker floated down to stand directly in front of Stone. Their energy form pulsed with what seemed like determination. "Tell us what you need." Stone smiled. "Everything. We need everything you can give. And in return, we'll give you everything we have. No more secrets. No more hidden technology. Full cooperation." The Speaker turned to address the Council. The decision they would make now would determine the fate of not just their galaxy, but countless others to come. 3 months after the Council meeting, the galaxy had changed more than anyone could have imagined. Admiral Wilson stood on the observation deck of the massive construction station Unity, watching as ships from 1,000 worlds worked together to build the Guardian Ring. "Progress report, Admiral," General Harris said, walking up beside him. The old soldier had been put in charge of coordinating the combined fleet's training exercises. Wilson pointed to a section of the ring where massive quantum energy collectors were being installed. "We're ahead of schedule. The Council races brought technologies we never even knew existed. Turns out they were keeping some secrets too." Below them, huge cargo ships from the crystal beings of Proxima delivered raw materials that could channel quantum energy better than anything humanity had developed. Nearby, the energy beings of the Centaurus cluster were teaching human engineers how to improve the ring's power systems. "It's amazing what people can do when they stop threatening each other and start working together," Harris remarked, watching as teams of mixed species coordinated their efforts seamlessly. Ambassador Stone entered the observation deck, followed by Professor Miller and the Supreme Speaker. The Speaker's energy form had changed color slightly, now showing hints of gold, a sign of hope among their species. "The last holdout worlds have joined our cause," Stone announced. "The entire galaxy is now united in this effort. Professor, show them the latest projections." Miller activated his quantum computer, and a hologram filled the room. It showed the Void Swarm's approach, but now there was something new. A string of defensive positions leading to the nearly completed Guardian Ring. "The outer defense line will be ready in 2 months, Miller explained. "Combined fleet exercises show our forces working at 89% efficiency. Better than we hoped. The ring itself is now 40% complete." The Supreme Speaker moved forward, their energy form pulsing with excitement. "And the improvements my people suggested for the quantum barrier. Implemented and tested," Miller confirmed. "The barrier is now 30% stronger than our original design. The Council race's combined knowledge has made everything better than we planned." Stone walked to the window, watching the constant stream of ships moving through space like a dance. "When we first expanded into the galaxy, we thought we had to do everything alone. We thought we had to hide our strength, keep our secrets. We were wrong." "We all were," the Supreme Speaker added. "The Council thought humanity needed to be controlled, contained. We were wrong too." General Harris checked his data pad, showing the latest fleet formations. Combined fleet strength is now triple what humanity originally planned for. The Council race's ships, upgraded with our quantum shields and their own unique technologies, are more powerful than anything we imagined. 4 years, Wilson said quietly. "We have 4 years until the Void Swarm arrives. Will we be ready?" Professor Miller smiled, adjusting his glasses. "At current construction rates, the ring will be complete in 3 years. The combined fleet will be fully trained in 2. The outer defense lines will be ready in months. For the first time, I believe we might not just survive. We might win." The Supreme Speaker's form brightened. "And after? When the Void Swarm is defeated? After?" Stone looked out at the vast construction project. "After, we keep working together. The Guardian Ring isn't just a weapon. It's proof of what we can achieve together. Maybe it's time to build something new. Not a galactic council that rules through threats. Not a Terran empire that hides in shadows. Something better. Something united." They stood together, watching the greatest construction project in galaxy history continue. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, crews of different species worked as one, and the Guardian Ring grew steadily larger. The galaxy had faced humanity's power and humanity had faced the galaxy's fear. But in the end, they had found something greater than power or fear. They had found unity. And in that unity, they had found hope. The Void Swarm was coming. But this time, they wouldn't find isolated worlds trying to fight alone. They would find a galaxy united, standing together, ready to fight as one. And that might make all the difference.